And what I would like to first do is welcome everyone to the VFI Neighbors Helping Neighbors webinar today. Thank you for joining. We had over 200 people sign up for this. This is as I understand it, a record for VFI signups. We'll see how many people actually show up today, but thank you very much for your interest. I know things during these challenging times are interesting, but it's amazing to see the technology community power through this. This call will be recorded, and we're going to try to make this available afterwards for those who were not able to stay on for the entire call or would like to view it in the future. And I would like to go over the format very quickly. I will moderate the call, all the questions, if you will. Type your questions in the chat box. The VFI team will sort through the questions, and we will provide a Q&A time at the end of this call, the last 15 or 20 minutes or so to do questions. But I want to give time to Ryan Risley, our guest presenter. Most of you know Ryan. He is with Whipfly, but Whipfly has been working with Team Rubicon to do their back-end IT support, and we're thrilled to have a very special guest from Whipfly, or I should say Team Rubicon, on the call. Excuse me. And what I would also like to say, and I'll save all those introductions for Ryan because I don't want to steal his thunder, but VFI is about engagement. And all of you, many of you are on the advisory task force. Thank you for that level of service. We are always recruiting for prospective technology advocates that want to engage locally, that want to engage in Washington, D.C., and most importantly, in their communities. So that is Voices for Innovation. That's really what we do. We engage on a number of policy and philanthropic initiatives. We are a Microsoft community. That's how we started. We've expanded that community to include technology partners and advocates throughout the USA. So as we all know, COVID-19 has really sharpened our focus on engagement and civic and philanthropic engagement. And that's why we're on this call today. What we are going to talk about is Team Rubicon. I will save that for Ryan to talk about what we would like to accomplish today, but I will say the call to action today for everyone on this call is to sign up for Team Rubicon, become a volunteer if you can, help your neighbors. The three asks today are be a good neighbor, number one, volunteer your time to Team Rubicon to help your neighbors, or donate to Team Rubicon. So those are our three calls to action today. Ryan will go through those, Ryan Risley. I'm going to introduce him in one moment. I want to say at Microsoft, we are organized during this time around three priorities: protecting public health, that's working with our hospitals, law enforcement, and just public institutions to make sure that all of these entities are protected and being well served. We also are promoting an inclusive economic recovery. That's a number of things, two of which I've pulled out of the slide deck I received from Microsoft yesterday, supporting nonprofits who are first responders. And that's what we are doing here today with Team Rubicon. Number two, that's helping schools, universities, teachers, and students as they transition to remote learning. Our next webinar will focus on philanthropies, Microsoft philanthropies, and what the education team is doing to help transition to this remote learning environment. Third thing and final thing, preserving trustworthy technology. That's privacy, cybersecurity, especially for hospitals and other public healthcare institutions during this very challenging time. So I wanted to also say that we are trying to create a device donation drive with the help of Microsoft Philanthropies. We will have more details on that. We will not talk about it on this call, but we have a call in 2 weeks on April 29th. We hope to roll this initiative out. So we hope you will dig through your closets, find your old devices, dust them off, perhaps wipe the drives, get them ready to donate if you haven't already done so. We are in desperate need. Classrooms and students and teachers need those devices, which you are not using. More to come on that later. So once again, the call to action, be a good neighbor, volunteer, or donate. Ryan, let me just turn it over to you if I could. You have the screen, and Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Just the audio check, so I don't go through the presentation without you hearing me. You're good. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming today. I just extremely excited, both with the outcome of the budding initiative that happened just less than 2 weeks ago. This was put together, so appreciate everybody's kind attention. Usually we try to get things out like 6 weeks ahead and drum up, but we're in the days of COVID now, so you just got to get stuff done and get it out there. So just thank you for all making time today. You know, I'm calling you from my shelter-in-place location. I think we all are for the most part, and we know that those times are difficult. So if you do have to step away to take care of children or walk the pet, we are recording this, as David said, so you can always rewind. I want to go through a couple things today. I'm just going to go through the quick agenda. It's not a long agenda. We want to leave some time for Q&A. We also want to let Raj get on his way. So as much as we can, super appreciate his attendance here. David went over the VFI. Welcome. Just a quick thing about me. I've been involved with VFI for 8 years now. You know, I live in DC. I have a big mouth and I know technology pretty well. So it enables me to talk to our elected officials about what matters to them in public policy and why it lands in the field like it does. Can't thank that group enough. Obviously, VFI, IMCP, which is the group that we're involved with as well. I see a lot of folks here from that group. This was the genesis of a philanthropic push to really help our society right now in the midst of COVID-19. And everyone wants to help, but you don't always know how. And putting a backbone across all of these communities was something that came together fairly organically. And as soon as it started, it just kind of kept growing from there. And I hear we even have another tech community extremely interested that we'll get to that will probably be joining as well. So I'm just very excited about the strength of this group. I think it's over 100,000 individuals, I think, at least nationwide between all the groups combined. So just extremely excited for the potential that we have to really take this to another level. So what I want to do is, you know, do a quick cold open video before I let Raj talk for 1 minute, and then we're going to double check the audio, make sure it works well. But then we'll get into to introducing Raj. So without ado, I will just run the.
We've been there in times of crisis and chaos, when disaster strikes, and when our communities needed us the most. Our military veterans have responded. Now, across the country, Team Rubicon is serving our neighbors impacted by COVID-19, delivering supplies, assisting food banks, checking on those most at risk. Because that's what we're built for. Because that's what Americans do for their neighbors. Help us mobilize across the nation in the face of this terrible crisis. And no matter what kind of obstacles we face in the coming months, we will overcome them together.
One too many there. All right. Well, thank you for watching that with me. It was just 1 minute long, I promised. I think it just goes over just at a very high level how
think Ryan, did we
Audio.
lose Ryan?
You
There we
muted.
go. That's better. Thank you. Can't thank Team Rubicon enough. If you don't know, before COVID-19, and they still will be, hardcore disaster response. We have Raj Kamachi here. Extremely thankful to you to be here, Raj. Raj and I work together nearly every day, including weekends. Raj is the Chief Information Officer and CTO of Team Rubicon. So both all the information flow and external R&D, and really pushing the limits of what technology can do to help an organization push forward and push the limits every day so that they can get resources quicker and people quicker to those in crisis. I can go through Raj's long resume, but I want to leave some time for Raj to just to address the group before we get started, and we're going to dive deep into the Neighbors Helping Neighbors program. But Raj, thank you for being here with us. And what's the most exciting portion of your next couple of weeks? I know we'll go through a little bit of that, but just a little history there, and just enlighten us a little.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. And folks, can you give me a voice check here? Can you guys hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Good.
Awesome. I'm here just for a quick moment. I wanted to make sure I thank all of you. Thank you for all attending, and I'm humbled by the support and from this technology community for Team Rubicon. And you'll hear more about Team Rubicon, all of what we are about today. And I'm just here to thank you all for being part of this initiative. I want you to know that it's in our DNA to take action and get to the things that we have not been able to pivot to scale without the use of tech before. We're always up for the challenge. So that's what makes us a little unique. I'd say we will take any challenge and we'll go forward. Part of the driver is I always share with my team is there's so much the technology can enable that a lot of nonprofit or any organization have not realized yet. And we run the organization as a startup, as a tech forward organization. We consider ourselves a software development organization. We run just like a startup, right? So, and our revenue is all impact. That's how we measure it. That enables us, to think far, think 10 years ahead. And we're still working on it. We don't have answers to everything, but we're trying to figure this out as we, as people say, we're trying to build a plane while we're flying in it. So, it may not be a great thing all the time, but if any solution, we believe, if any solution can get out of the door, click to production, click to feet on the street, and we can get to the soonest, the most efficient way to get to people on their worst day, and that's what we want to build, right? Whether it's perfect, imperfect, we don't care. We'll do it. And that's the challenge. That's in our ethos. That's in our DNA. And again, your support enables us to broaden and deepen our scope to help our most vulnerable in this unprecedented time. If you think about 4 weeks ago when we realized how the COVID-19 situation came about, we pivoted as an organization. We pivoted completely where we formed the whole organization. We restructured the org chart. Basically, we created a few groups like continuous improvement, current operations, future operations, gray shirt, recruitment, membership, operations decision, and visibility and synthesis. Those are 3 or 6 different teams that ran, and the tech piece is embedded deeply in each of those, right? That enabled us to pivot successfully every day, day in, day out. We switched to 7 days work week, and someone's always on working on 24/7. So part of it also building technology. If you look at Neighbors Helping Neighbors, the cool story is that we built that overnight, that whole functionality. With Risley, obviously, our partners, our team, our tech team, and their team was just, cranking this out over, 24-hour period of time, and then we push it out to production. That's how agile and nimble we want to operate. We want to continue to do so because we understand the suffering that goes on the other end, right? So, without further ado, these are the things that we work on, and we are also excited to keep maximizing the benefit or the outcome of the Neighbors Helping Neighbors. In the next couple of weeks, or hopefully in days, we will be focusing on another project to help immunocompromised citizens, folks who are in the low poverty index to get food or to engage with our gray shirts or volunteers, where we will try to find a way where they can directly seek assistance, and we will match them up with our gray shirt population density automatically. So think of it like almost like going out to call for action to all our gray shirts to say, hey, so-and-so's in this vicinity within 10 miles radius, can you go and help them out? Or can you deliver food for them? Or can you deliver medications and such that? So we're building that. I'm super excited. And this is an extension, an example of what we're building day in, day out. And it's an extension of Neighbors Helping Neighbors. So with that said, TR is a disaster response organization, humanitarian organization. And Mother Nature doesn't really wait for us. When there's COVID, hurricane doesn't care about COVID, and COVID doesn't care about hurricanes or tornadoes and earthquake. And so we are preparing our organization, embracing the COVID situation, that it's going to be here to stay, and we will continue to respond to any other types of disasters with COVID in mind, and we're ready for the fight. And that's all I got. Again, heartfelt thank you to all of you, and appreciate you guys having me on this.
Thank you, Raj.
So appreciate your time, and you're welcome to stay. I know you have a lot of things to finish. Just want to thank you again, and again, for the folks on the call, we'll go through more of this, but you all are doing like mobile testing facilities in like Chicago and New York, and standing up hospital facilities for folks in California. I mean, there's things across the country in large scale. Tens of thousands of pounds of food being delivered to food out to the vulnerable communities. I mean, the amount and scale of what you all are doing is absolutely immense. And just can't thank you enough for the impact you're making. So
thank you. And I'm going to be signing off. I have to
right.
roll into another meeting. So thank you all. Appreciate it. Bye.
Raj, appreciate you making time for us.
Thank you.
I tried to embarrass him with that picture, but it didn't work so much. So, by the way, that was unexpected. I didn't plan on that. We had a last minute ability to bring him in. So super happy about that. So we're going to go a little bit into kind of the DNA. As you know, Team Rubicon is an organization that is fueled by the talents of military veterans, emergency first responders, and civilians. So you don't have to be a veteran to be involved with Team Rubicon. About 30% of the organization's volunteers are not prior military service. And the goal is really to help them create the structure, if you think of command and control, and build this framework of a lot of enabled and empowered individuals, matching the needs of those in crisis. They've got a lot of capacity and capabilities, and obviously this has been a big pivot. I love that he mentioned specifically how the entire organization reorganized into COVID mode, as they call it. So specifically focused on this type of pandemic response, which I'm not sure anybody was truly prepared for. So the next thing we're going to talk a little bit about is why people actually volunteer. And I love this quote, and if you haven't heard it before, for those of you who remember Albert Schweitzer, congratulations. But the purpose of human is to serve and to show compassion. And the will to help others. And the reason I love this quote is it talks about being human, right? It talks about serving, and it talks about empathy, and all things, in our firm specifically lead with empathy. We have an ethos in general about creating a lasting positive impact. And when you talk about lasting positive impact, it's not just doing something for today so you can move on. It's not about stepping over someone to get somewhere else. We also talk about how you can help others help others. It's not necessarily about empowering one person, but empowering many to do more. And so we work with a lot of philanthropies, a lot of nonprofits that themselves are helping each other, and then they help yet another. So an example, we work with organizations that, like Team Rubicon, right? Veterans themselves are finding purpose after they serve our military by giving care to those in crisis. It's 3 levels deep: helping others, help others, help others. It's just a fantastic process. And so some interesting stats, and I was surprised by this myself, but there's a social science and medicine article specifically that talks about the value to yourself when you give, right? Why is it important to be a volunteer? And they actually did some metrics specifically that people that volunteer every week are, and this is not going to sound like a lot, but I'll tell you why. People that volunteer every week are 16% more likely to report that they're very happy. Okay, so let's unpack that. That's the delta between somebody that makes $75,000 and $100,000. I'm sorry, $20,000 and $75,000. It's a big jump.
Thank you.
People that report their happiness level at those income levels is only about 16% difference. So giving back and volunteering is good for you as well. And so we felt this as well, you know, as we've gone through our lives themselves. I'm an Eagle Scout. I've gone through philanthropy kind of from my early days. It was brought on to me by my parents, and it's just been part of my DNA as well. So if it seems like I'm overly emotional about it, it's just because we truly do care. And everyone we surround ourselves with is like that as well. And I think it's important to make sure that we're doing that first and foremost.
And
So
I want to interrupt. I just want to point out, this is Ryan's superhero wife making masks. This is actually a photo of Elizabeth. So many of you know Elizabeth. And anyway, I'll stop there. Sorry to interrupt, Ryan.
That's okay. I wasn't going to mention it. I was looking for community common photographs. I'm like, I've got this one that she happened to be. She's also a TR volunteer. And I'm a gray shirt, which just means that you're a certified volunteer for TR. So getting back to kind of the ethos of volunteering in general, it is good for you. It does help you be happier. Even if you volunteer once a month, when you help someone else come out of their condition, it's rewarding. And that's really what's combining both the science of helping others and the framework of working with Team Rubicon, and this helping neighbors framework is a fantastic combination. And then you add to it the superpowers of 100,000 plus folks in the organizations that are both represented by this call and others in the tech community. And you've got just a massive power of capability. So what we're trying to do with this movement, we'll call it, which is called, and I'll introduce in a second, is to combine all those superpowers together. The happiness and goodwill that comes from helping others, obviously helping people out of their vulnerable state, taking the framework from Team Rubicon and taking the immense capacity of a group like this all in one place. So introducing Neighbors Helping Neighbors. So if you've heard of this already, thank you for being involved. If you haven't, I'm just going to kind of go through what it is. So you have Team Rubicon volunteers, right? Those are folks that they put themselves in harm's way to, clear a road after a natural disaster or a tornado or a hurricane. You've got folks that go into foreign countries and help with humanitarian aid for someone who may have lost a limb in a refugee scenario. You've got folks that are in situations of floods in the Midwest during the really horrible seasons related to mold and things like that in their homes that last after a flood. Most people forget after the news of the flood goes away, but all the homes that were damaged in those floods, they're still there. And so Team Rubicon does muckouts, rebuilds, emergency care, road clearing, you name it, they're there. And so that's the classic Team Rubicon disaster response. Then you step in and you have the humanitarian side of Neighbors Helping Neighbors. This is for folks that aren't necessarily a Team Rubicon gray shirt, but a partner organization like all of us that want to help and have neighbors. I talked on a call the other day and they said, well, I don't have many neighbors. I live far out. Well, even if you live on an island, you have a neighboring island. So you still have to be a good neighbor, no matter how far away they might be. So it's about your community. It's not necessarily about how far away the neighbors might be. And so this is specifically a call to action for folks to perform individual acts of service to help vulnerable neighbors in a way. When we talk about vulnerable neighbors, these are folks that are more susceptible to respiratory illness, folks that have maybe been through chemotherapy, folks that are over a certain age and have additional complications. So the goal with Neighbor Helping Neighbors is to help keep those people safe and then safely do favors for them, essentially. So we're trying to be an enabler for social distancing in the quarantine efforts. So, of course, there's guides and protocols we have to follow. They call them safety knowledge bombs in the TR vernacular, and they won't let you click past the forms without going through all that. So don't think we're putting anybody's harm's way. And these are all standard methodologies for keeping people safe. But we're trying not to contribute to the spread of the disease, but provide individual acts under these protocols to help these vulnerable populations stay in the homes to protect them. And so there's a lot that's gone on in this framework, including working with food banks. You probably heard Raj mention there's a lot of food banks where the average age of a food bank volunteer is over 60 years old. And think about the vulnerable population and who they might be. They're doing a lot of last mile logistics, getting supplies directly to the self-quarantined individuals. And there's a picture here of Sean doing exactly that. And then vulnerability mapping, figuring out food banks are usually aware of the individuals that normally need food, but there might be people that are now sheltering in place that weren't on their radar. So going to door and making sure that those folks are taken care of. And then the door-to-door engagement, specifically determining who needs help. People might not have internet access, like my in-laws. And so it's important to make sure you're reaching out. A quick story, we've got neighbors right near us that have family all across the country. The family always loves to come and visit, but they can't right now. So their closest family are their next door neighbors. And so the most important thing is that everybody's reaching out and is available to help. So what is Tech for TR? Anybody heard of this yet? So this is essentially what we're announcing here. When we first started ideating on this with the IMCP and VFI, we were trying to put something together that was a movement, right? Something that would motivate folks, that would allow us to concentrate our efforts together into one place. And we're like, well, we're a bunch of tech and advocacy folks, and we're doing it for Team Rubicon. So I came up with this random hashtag, and I went 8-bit with the logo, and we came up with Tech for TR. And right now, there's already 5 fantastic organizations involved with this. Voices for Innovation, obviously, which we're being hosted by. IAMCP, which is a fantastic global community of channel partners doing execution and technology. The WIT Network, Women of the Channel and Women of the Cloud. And we also have, and Dave will keep me honest, I know we have at least one other that's very interested, and maybe more, in joining the same movement. So this is real quick, just a little bit of graphics here. So this is a map of where all the veteran volunteers are for Team Rubicon. And you notice, across the country, there's some pretty big pockets in Texas and California. It's actually where most of the veterans also sit. And somebody on the call that's a veteran told me that's true. Somebody told me there's a lot of veterans in Texas and California. They're also big states. And so TR is basically, distributed across the country in terms of volunteers as well as the world. And their COVID responses, you probably saw that other map, pretty much all over the map as well. And there's even more of them since this map was created just a couple of days ago. And so they continue to roll out more and more. And so for the last decade, Team Rubicon's been focused on building capacities across all these cities of America. And I don't think it was mentioned yet, but they have over 110,000 volunteers who have responded to over 450 disasters around the world in the last 10 years. So at the same time, they've developed robust medical capabilities for international operations, and they're working on pivoting all of those to work in our testing centers and creating stand-up clinics, pop-up hospitals for folks for the overflow to relieve some of the hospital strain. So all these efforts are coming together in the COVID-19 response. So Team Rubicon is everywhere. So COVID-19 is everywhere. Well, you know what? So is Tech for TR. If you think about where all of our communities sit, it's pretty much all these states. I'm sure people are dialing in from nearly every. Thank you, Veronica, for the San Diego. That's California. Great. So Tech for TR. So enter into the hashtag Neighbors Helping Neighbors. That's a TR hashtag. Hashtag Tech for TR is just for this group. And as David alluded to in the very beginning, this is our call to action. Be a good neighbor. Number one, if you're not involved, don't take 5 gallons of milk at the store unless you have a really large family. Leave some for others. It'll be there. They'll get replenished. There'll be a little stress in the house for a little while. Those of you who have sitting on stockpiles of hand sanitizer and toilet paper, you know who you are. But in general, be a good neighbor. Make sure you look out for folks. Volunteer, as we talked about. It's good for you. It's good for them. Make sure that you're reaching out to put folks you don't even know. And the beauty is, you're doing it for TR. You say, hi, I'm involved in a nationwide Neighbors Helping Neighbors program. Just checking to see if you need anything. How easy was that? So when you can put it on a framework, it doesn't seem, out of the ordinary. people appreciate it. And then donate. I mean, honestly, you've heard from TR. They are putting a lot of resources to make impact. And they're one of the few organizations I'm aware of that takes the transparency of donor dollars and turns it into actual value in the field, measured and multiplied. And we've been working with them for quite a while, and they're definitely on the forefront of the technology enablement. So, I would say if anything you get out of this, there was a QR code. If you want to take a picture of it, it'll go right to the link. There's also the URL down there below. And we're going to go back specifically in a minute. So I'm just going to cut to, I've got 2 more slides just to kind of go through. Okay, so how do you register what you're doing for your neighbors? And then how do you donate? So I thought we'd go through that next. So how can you help volunteer? Again, QR code if you need it, URL's right there. So specifically in volunteering, when you go to that URL, you're going to land on a page, and this is what the page looked like if you could stretch it out on a super long monitor. That page is basically your landing site for Tech for TR. And we've stood this up specifically for this, this initiative to really help focus all these groups that we're working with right now into one place. And that includes the tracking of the donations and the actual tracking of the acts of kindness. So on this page, on the left, you're going to go to the specific page that says Get Involved. And on the Get Involved page, it goes over to another one that says Partners. This is the partner section you'll select because we are partners. And then in the partner section, you scroll down after you do the knowledge training and you accept the conditions, making sure you're being safe in whatever you're doing. You'll get to a form, and this is where you would log your activity. All right. And I'll go through this.
Here's the problem with that. I'm going to be very direct.
So somebody's on, not on.
Okay. That is stupid.
Somebody doesn't like the form, evidently. Okay. So the key here is that you're registering activities. You can do them as you do them, if you like, or you can do them all at once, in like once a week kind of thing. I can tell you that the form works really well. If you do another one and within 24 hours, it keeps all your information there. You don't need to log in anywhere. You don't need a profile to do this, just capturing the information. And if you go out onto the Neighbors Helping Neighbors site on the teamrubiconusa.org, it'll actually show you a map built in Power BI that shows all of the activities that are going on around the country. If we have time, I'll show you that as well. So that's the volunteer process. Go to the Tech for TR landing site at the URL above. Go through the details. You'll go through a lot of disclosures and training. Get to the partner section, hit report, and then on the next page you'll record your activity. Pretty straightforward. So you can do that today. Both Voices for Innovation and IAMCP are already set up. So if you go into the partner organization section, you'll actually see VFI and IAMCP. So you can actually select those. There's also Microsoft, and I know Whitley's in there already. So if you're interested and you're not listed and you want to track your activities separately, feel free to let us know. Rubicon's adding them, and you'll see actually a lot of corporate sponsors in there. It's just been a fantastic effort. So how can you donate? And this is specific. I'm sure you see lots of stuff around Team Rubicon donate pages. What we're trying to do here is actually motivate this entire group to donate in one concerted effort. And what we'll do is over time, we're going to track that as well so that we can see the impact of our group on the technology, specifically communities that we're working with. So same page on the left, you'll go to TechTR's landing site, and then you'll go out to the top button, which says, I think, Give Now. And on the Give Now page, and it looks like we already have donations, fantastic. The Give Now page is where you can set up your monthly renewing donation. You can also do a one-time donation. If you choose, you can put it on a credit card. There's a little offset button there that you can do. Super simple form. You can share it out. And then when you're done, you can even put it out on your social stream, tags, hashtag Tech4TR. If you do it from your mobile, you can also just text the word tech to 87872. It'll send you a text back with all the details you need. It'll give you a link you can click on, and it brings you to this page as well. So if you're just on your cell phone, you don't have to type out that whole URL. You can just text tech to 87872 or take a picture of the QR code. So how do you identify needs in your community? People are like, okay, this is great, but I don't have any friends. So I'm kidding. Everybody has friends. There's some great technology to leverage that. There's Twitter feeds. I'm not going to mention these here, but Twitter feeds. People follow Instagram looking for help. And people are using technologies, obviously Teams. We do a family Teams call every Sunday. And it's been great because people that don't have video can dial in. So we're helping them where they are and stuck in place with family members and other communities. WhatsApp is fantastic. A lot of people have been using that. And then there's two communities that we use quite a bit. Is the Facebook community section. So this is Jose Andres turned National Stadium in Washington, D.C. into a community kitchen, and they needed volunteers. So this is just a community inside of Facebook, so you can search your region for communities. And then one of the really most advanced ones I've seen lately is Nextdoor Help Map. If you haven't seen this before, is anybody familiar with Nextdoor? If not, sign up. It's a fantastic platform for communities. Helps you. I mean, you can even get rid of things if you don't want them, somebody else might, or if you want a recommendation to somebody, get that as well. But the help map is really cool because it has people that are available to do certain things, and then the people that need help as well. So lots of great ways to identify needs of the community, and more is coming out. As Raj alluded to, there's some things in the pipeline there. So I just want to end with, and then we'll open up the Q&A. We can all hope that our neighbors are doing okay, that everybody's going to get through this. But in reality, hope isn't a strategy. We all need each other more than we probably realize. And even if it's somebody grabbing a box that be blowing away in the yard so it doesn't wind up as trash, you're helping, right? And it's important for us to step out of our comfort zone sometimes. You don't have to step out of your home to call your neighbor and see if they're okay. But step out of your comfort zone, make sure you're helping others in this extremely unprecedented time, and you can do it under the structure of something that's organized with fellow like-minded professionals that may have either more options or more time or more available resources than some that don't. So I would say that it's important to be a good neighbor, and if you can help, please do. So I have a couple stories, but I want to kind of leave them to the Q&A. I'm going to hand it back to David to go over this last slide. We'll just leave this one up as we talk through. So thank you all for your kind
Yes. Ryan, number one, thank you. This is amazing. I'm glad you mentioned the 3 ways you can actually kind of monitor your community. Ryan mentioned WhatsApp. We also use Nextdoor. Many of you already have that app. That's what I've been using. And of course, the Facebook communities section. I'm not a huge Facebooker, but that is how to do it in Facebook. These are super easy ways to get engaged. They are free. There is no obligation to sign up and volunteer today with Team Rubicon. Ryan showed you how to do that. And 2 weeks ago, when Ryan told me about this, I went online, I signed up, and I didn't see the neighbor helping neighbor thing. So I went ahead and got a background check and got ready to deploy and took some training. And I said, man, this is a lot to go through just to help my neighbors. But at the end of the day, then Ryan said, oh, you don't have to do any of that. And I said, well, great. And now I'm ready to be deployed by Team Rubicon for disaster relief. But nonetheless, it's super easy to say hello to your neighbors and figure out what they need. So we've had some really good questions, and people like my great friend Laura in Southern California, who runs the chapter out there in Southern California, just said she signed up. There are a lot of people. I just went to the donation page. I see the little dollars clicking in. It's amazing. Thank you for doing that. Click on that QR code. It'll take you right to that landing page if you would like to donate, or go to the website and volunteer. And let's see, Judy Nichols from Breakpoint says, what can we do as volunteers? What are the needs? Listen, the needs are the needs. You can guess what the needs are. The best thing to do, sign up, go to Team Rubicon site, sign up, as Ryan kind of showed you how to do that, and then install one of these apps or use one of your Facebook community apps to figure out where your people need help. Even if you don't log into the Tech for TR or the Team Rubicon site, please go help your neighbors. My wife went and picked up some groceries this morning for some older folks to live next door, and she felt so good about it. But listen, Ryan, let me turn it back over to you. You may have some more questions in the chat here.
Yeah, feel free. I'm going to pull something up real quick while you do that. I'm going to pull up a map of the current, this is as of this morning, the current Neighbors Helping Neighbors items that have been logged. Can everybody see that? Let me know if it's coming up there.
Yeah, I can see it.
Should be a US map.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. I thought I'd give some motivation too, and if there's questions that are burning, feel free to interject. But you know, these are the Neighbor Helping Neighbors just started. I think maybe 2 weeks ago it was launched officially, and these are already the components that are logged. And if you look across the top, it's super tiny. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. But the assistance rendered key at the top. So you've got blood donations. You can donate blood. That qualifies. Food delivery. There's a lot of that. Again, food banks, one of the highest vulnerable volunteer base because they're typically in that age range as well. Food prep. My wife has been cooking for our neighborhood, and she puts the stuff out for people to come by on a regular basis. Lawn care. You're keeping someone who's vulnerable from going outside. It's already asthma season with pollen. It doesn't help that you can also get sick to the point that you wouldn't be able to do much else. Medicine drop off is another. Pet care. Pets need walked. Well, that puts you outside with lots of other folks. Simple check-in. This is fantastic for especially people that live at home, that are elderly, that you know are on your block, street, or building. Just it's okay to knock on the door. Stay 6 feet away. Wear a mask. Make sure they're safe. If you don't know their phone number, if you do, just give them a call. Just say, just checking in. I'm running to the store. Do you need anything? That's the classic thing that happens in our neighborhood. Simple check-in supply drop-off. If somebody needs extra toilet paper, you don't send them to the store, you know. Have one, lend one, right? I'm not sure toilet paper is like gold bars right now, so maybe not, but kidding. Transportation, and this is an interesting one. There's a series of communities that are now working together, and one community that I'm aware of actually is an organization up in the Northwest that manages volunteers with foster care, and the volunteers that work with foster care are often also in the same age category as those that work with the food banks. And so transporting these foster children across between the families, et cetera, there's a lot of needs associated with all the transportation related components. Team Rubicon is now helping that organization as well. And that's just a combination of two nonprofits working together to really satisfy the needs that would have normally been resolved with at-risk individuals. Similarly with Meals on Wheels, Team Rubicon folks are now delivering Meals on Wheels for those communities that would have normally been served by folks in higher risk. So just an example of some things you can get started with.
And Ryan, I give one other example.
Absolutely.
When now that I'm a Team Rubicon member, I've been getting mail pushes saying we need people to call people about their prescriptions that they're ready for pickup, or can you pick them up? And it's, you know, there's a lot of things to do actually from the safety of your own home. You don't even have to go out if you're really worried about, you know, interfacing with folks and picking up stuff or, you know, knocking on people's doors. There are ways through the TR site to find activities that just involve your phone and your time. And like I said, this doesn't require any money, any training, any background check or anything. It's just you getting on the phone and figuring out where you can help your neighbors. And I want to say, Jason Bergeron, one of our great new members of the advisory task force, he said, I created a Facebook group for our area to request needs and match with resources during this time. So you can do that. That is the kind of leadership and engagement we're looking for in these communities. You don't have to log your neighbor's address and put it into Team Rubicon. Just say, hey, I went and picked up some groceries for my neighbor next door, or I picked up some prescriptions from the drugstore, or I picked up their papers off their front porch and put them in a place where, whatever, anything to help would be great. Ryan, back to you.
Thanks. There was a question in the chat from Jorge. Is the organization doing something or working with someone in Puerto Rico? Yes, actually, Team Rubicon is present in Puerto Rico, and I actually just moved the map down a little in Neighbors Helping Neighbors. There's actually activity down there that's already been logged as well. And there's been quite a bit of work done by Team Rubicon in Puerto Rico, specifically on a lot of roof replacement from the hurricane that came through there about 2.5 years ago. So yes, in short. But I would also say in general, if you've got stories, they also want you to share. So in the Neighbors Helping Neighbors program, there's an app that you can actually download and share your story. So if you do the work, out there, thanks, Jorge, feel free to share the story as well. I mean, what we're really trying to do is inspire more than anything, inspire others to be, philanthropic in the process, and really trying to change the culture. Jake Wood, who's the CEO of Team Rubicon, won the Pat Tillman Award about 1.5 years ago, I think it was. And one of his speaking points, and I'm not going to get it exactly right, so I'm sorry, Jake, specifically was that if everyone treated their neighbor like they do after a natural disaster, the world would be a beautiful place. And we often have, as a society, very short attention or time, memory. And it's really important that we're trying to do this all the time, not just right now. But right now it's really important. So just want to thank everybody for being here. And if there's any questions, feel free. Again, this was recorded. The URL is out there. Our goal is really to make sure that we are actively engaging and inspiring others. So please socialize this, put this out on your in your social stream as well. And I'm going to switch over the tote board here. I didn't think I'd do this right now. Wow, people are donating. Look at this. So 6
Awesome.
donors. Fantastic. Jason Bergeron, Francisco. Is that you, Frank?
Frank V. That's Frank V.
No, I'm teasing. Ronald McCoy, thank you, Ronald, and Charles Myers. Appreciate that. I think it's fantastic that you guys are putting, and gals, I'm sure, putting funds behind this as well as volunteering. So I would say the charge and the challenge right now is we do want to, our goal is $25,000. We are going to continue the campaign, obviously. And by the way, I wasn't expecting that today. Although if we hit it, that would be great too. And by the way, I get nothing out of this. This is my volunteer time as well. VFI as a volunteer, IMCP as a volunteer. I truly enjoy, connecting people and helping a cause, as well as, helping others help others. So I just want to thank everybody for their time. Anything else, David?
Ryan, I wanted to thank, first of all, the folks from IAMCP that have joined us today, Lori and Laura Peters and Eddie Bader, I know was on the call earlier. There was a lot of folks also on our advisory task force, which is our kind of top tier of VFI. I noticed a lot of our ATF was on the call. Thank you very much. We had folks from Women in Tech, Women in Cloud. One of our friends from CompTIA joined. Everybody knows who CompTIA is. And we would love for these organizations to push this out into your communities, with your employees, with your partners, with your footprint, wherever you are in your neighborhoods, so we can just try to get through this together. And I frankly want to thank Raj. I know has left the call, but Ryan, I owe a huge thanks to you, and of course the VFI team who helped Ryan put this together. Thank you very much. We'll have this available as a recording, but I encourage everyone on the call to get engaged, get involved, and help your neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available on LinkedIn as well. And this is really a focal point for IMCP and VFI and all the groups. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.